What would you do if a 6-year-old girl walked into your office, begging for a job to save her dying mother? This is William Carter's story. William Carter's mornings were a symphony of precision. His luxury sedan glided into the underground garage of the glass and steel tower he owned. By 8 a.m., he was seated in his top-floor office, a space lined with polished marble and expansive windows, offering a panoramic view of the city he dominated. Emails flashed across his screen, quarterly projections filled his thoughts, and his assistant's voice buzzed over the intercom, announcing back-to-back meetings. William lived in a world of power, his decisions rippling through markets and boardrooms. To most, he was an untouchable figure, defined by wealth and control. But that routine shattered one quiet morning, when his assistant, pale and hesitant, knocked on his door without waiting for a response. "Sir, there's someone here to see you," she stammered. "I have a full schedule," William replied without looking up, his tone clipped. "It's a little girl," she added, her voice uncertain. William's eyes lifted, his brow furrowing. "A child?" Before he could process the absurdity, the door opened wider, and she stepped in a small figure, no older than 6, wearing a red sweater, a denim skirt, and scuffed sneakers. Her light brown hair was slightly tangled, her wide brown eyes calm but determined. In her tiny hands, she clutched a piece of paper. She walked right up to his desk, her tiny stature dwarfed by the massive leather chair she stood beside. With a quiet confidence far beyond her years, she stretched on tiptoes and placed the paper on his desk. "I need a job," she announced, her voice clear and steady. William stared, speechless. The room seemed to freeze, the city's hum beyond the glass walls fading into silence. His assistant hovered in the doorway, unsure whether to intervene or disappear. Finally, William leaned forward, picking up the paper. It was a handwritten note. No, a child's attempt at a resume. Large, uneven letters filled the page. "I can clean. I'm quiet, I don't cry in front of people, I can help. I can learn." A small, shaky heart was drawn in the corner, next to the word, "please." "What is this?" he asked, more to himself than to her. "My name is Lily Johnson," the girl replied. "My mom is sick, really sick. And we don't have any money. I thought maybe you could give me a job." William's chest tightened. He had built his empire on cold logic and ruthless ambition. He had been pitched million-dollar ideas by seasoned executives, but none had captured his attention like this. "Lily, where is your mother?" he managed, his voice softer now. "At Riverside Medical Center," Lily replied, her small hands clenching nervously. She's not getting better." William rose from his chair, walking to the window, his gaze sweeping over the city, a city of wealth and opportunity, but also of quiet desperation hidden in shadows. "How did you find me?" he asked, turning back. "I saw your name in the newspaper. They said you were really rich and helped people. So I thought maybe you could help my mom." Her words were simple, honest, and yet they struck deeper than any corporate deal he had ever negotiated. "Wait here," William said, his voice firmer. He gestured for his assistant to close the door and then picked up his phone. A few quick calls later, his driver was ready and he turned back to Lily. "We're going to see your mother." Lily's eyes widened. "Really?" "Yes," William nodded, grabbing his coat. "But I can't promise anything. I need to understand what's going on." Moments later, they stepped into the sleek black sedan, waiting outside. Lily sat in the back, clutching her small, worn backpack to her chest. Her gaze was steady, but her legs swung slightly, the only sign of her youthful nerves. William watched her in the rearview mirror, a mix of emotions swirling within him. Who was this child, and how had she broken through his world of steel and glass so effortlessly? The drive to Riverside Medical Center was brief, but for William, it felt endless. He wasn't sure why he was doing this: pity, curiosity, or something deeper, something he hadn't felt in years. As they arrived, Lily led him through the modest hallways, past faded walls and crowded waiting areas. Finally, they reached a quiet room. A pale woman lay in the bed, her thin frame nearly lost beneath the blanket, her breathing shallow but steady. "Mom," Lily whispered, stepping to her side. I brought someone who can help." William stood in the doorway, feeling suddenly out of place, an intruder in this intimate moment. But then the woman's eyes fluttered open, weak but warm, and William felt something shift inside him. This wasn't just an interruption to his schedule. This was the beginning of something that would change everything. The drive to Riverside Medical Center felt longer than it was, not because of traffic, but because of the weight of uncertainty pressing down on William. He wasn't sure why he was doing this. He wasn't a man driven by impulse. His life was defined by logic, control, and careful planning. But today, all of that seemed distant. Lily sat in the back seat, her small hands gripping the straps of her worn backpack. She stared out the window, her face calm, but her eyes reflecting a quiet determination that seemed far too mature for a 6-year-old. "Are you scared?" William asked, his voice soft as he glanced at her through the rearview mirror. Lily's gaze shifted to meet his. "No, I'm just worried. About your mom?" She nodded. "She sleeps a lot now, and she doesn't eat much." William's jaw tightened. He had built his empire by solving problems, negotiating deals, controlling outcomes. But here he was, feeling powerless in front of a little girl's quiet despair. When they arrived at Riverside Medical Center, the contrast was stark. The building was old, its walls faded, the floors scuffed. Nurses moved quickly through the crowded hallways, their faces weary but determined. Lily led William through the maze of patients and visitors until they reached a small, dimly lit room. "Mom," Lily whispered, her voice suddenly soft and gentle. "I brought someone who can help." A frail woman lay on the bed, her skin pale against the thin hospital sheets. Her breathing was slow and shallow, her dark hair limp against the pillow. But as Lily took her hand, her eyelids fluttered, and a faint, tired smile touched her lips. "Lily," she murmured, her voice barely audible. "Mom, this is Mr. Carter. He's here to help." William stepped forward, feeling oddly out of place. The harsh lights, the cold smell of antiseptic, the fragile figure lying before him. It was a world so different from his own world of glass offices and leather boardrooms. "Hello, Grace," he began, trying to sound calm. Lily came to see me. She told me you needed help." Grace's eyes focused slowly on William, her gaze weak, but clear. You didn't have to." "Maybe not, but I'm here now," William replied, his voice gentler than he intended. A nurse stepped in, surprised by the sight of a well-dressed man standing beside the bed. "Excuse me, sir. Family only." "It's okay," Lily spoke up quickly. "He's here to help my mom." The nurse hesitated, then looked at William, recognizing the quiet authority in his presence. "Are you family?" she asked carefully. William glanced at Lily, then back at the nurse. "Yes, I suppose I am now." The nurse nodded, noting something in his voice that seemed sincere. "She's stable for now, but her condition is serious. Without more advanced treatment..." Her voice trailed off, but the implication was clear. "I want her transferred," William said firmly, "to a better facility." "I'll cover the costs." The nurse's eyes widened slightly. "Sir, that's generous, but..." "No arguments. Make the arrangements," William insisted, his tone leaving no room for debate. Grace's fingers trembled slightly, and William noticed. He reached down, gently taking her hand. "I won't promise miracles, but I won't stand by and do nothing." Grace's lips moved, forming a faint smile. "Thank you." William turned to Lily, who stood quietly, her eyes wide with hope. "We're going to help her, Lily. I promise." "You really mean it?" Lily whispered. Yes. William nodded. And you're not alone in this. As the nurse left to make arrangements, William stepped out into the hallway, pulling out his phone. He contacted his personal assistant, giving clear instructions to secure a private room at one of the city's best hospitals and to arrange for a team of specialists to review Grace's case. Within minutes, his assistant confirmed that everything was in motion. William felt a sense of control returning, but beneath it was something else, something unfamiliar. Concern? Compassion? He wasn't sure. When he returned to the room, Lily was sitting beside her mother, quietly talking to her, her small hand resting on Grace's. Mum, we're going to another hospital. To a better one. Mr. Carter's going to help. Grace's eyes fluttered closed, her breathing steady but weak. William's chest tightened again. For years, he had seen the world in terms of assets and liabilities, success and failure. But here, in this small room, those metrics felt empty. Lily, he said softly, kneeling beside her. We're going to make sure your mom gets the best care, and I'll be here with you. Lily looked at him, a hint of disbelief in her eyes slowly giving way to a cautious smile. You won't leave? No, William promised. I won't leave. The transfer happened faster than Lily could have imagined. Within hours, Grace was moved from the crowded aging ward of Riverside Medical Center to a spacious, quiet room in a private hospital. The walls were painted a soothing light blue, the sheets were crisp and clean, and the faint scent of fresh flowers replaced the antiseptic smell she was used to. Lily's wide eyes scanned the room, her tiny fingers never leaving her mother's hand. Grace lay on the bed, her face pale but peaceful, her breathing steady beneath the soft white blankets. Machines hummed quietly beside her, tracking her vitals, while a nurse adjusted the IV drip. William stood just inside the doorway, his arms crossed, his gaze focused on the doctors conferring outside. His assistant had handled the arrangements seamlessly, a team of specialists had been briefed, and every aspect of Grace's care was being monitored. But for the first time, William found himself not thinking about efficiency or costs. He was thinking about the woman lying in that bed, and the little girl whose life had suddenly become his concern. Mr. Carter? A calm, professional voice interrupted his thoughts. He turned to see a woman in a white coat, her name tag reading, Dr. Evelyn Harper. I'm overseeing Mrs. Johnson's case. Our team has reviewed her records and we're running a full diagnostic now. We'll have a clearer picture by the end of the day. Will she? William hesitated, catching himself. Will she get better, Doc? Harper's expression remained professional but gentle. We'll do everything we can. Her condition is serious, but not without hope. Thank you, William replied, his voice steadier than he felt. Lily looked up, her small hands still gripping her mother's. She's going to be okay, right? William moved closer, kneeling beside her. We're giving her the best care, Lily. That's what matters right now. The nurse adjusted the IV, offering Lily a kind smile. Would you like me to bring you something to eat, sweetheart? You must be hungry. Lily shook her head, her gaze never leaving her mother. I'm fine. I want to stay with her. I'll stay too, William added, surprising himself. The nurse nodded and slipped out, leaving the room in a soft, calm silence. Minutes turned to hours, and the quiet rhythm of the monitors became a comforting background hum. William settled into the chair beside Lily, watching the gentle rise and fall of Grace's chest. For a man who had spent his life surrounded by luxury and power, this small room felt like the center of the universe. Do you have a family? Lily asked suddenly, her voice soft. William hesitated. No, I've always been busy. Too busy? Lily's question was innocent, but it struck deeper than she could have known. Yes, William admitted, his gaze shifting to Grace's face. Too busy. Lily leaned her head against the bed, her fingers gently brushing her mother's hand. Mom was always busy too. but she always had time for me, even when she was tired. William felt a strange tightness in his chest. "She's lucky to have you." Lily smiled faintly. "I'm lucky to have her." A soft knock interrupted the quiet moment. The door opened and a familiar face stepped in. Clara Hayes, a social worker William had contacted. She wore a warm smile, her kind eyes immediately focusing on Lily. "Hello, Lily," Clara greeted gently. "I just wanted to check on you and your mom." "She's sleeping," Lily whispered, her tone cautious. Clara nodded, then looked at William. "Mr. Carter, may I speak with you for a moment?" William rose and followed Clara into the hallway. Her expression was professional, but her voice was soft. "I wanted to thank you for what you've done. Not many would step in the way you have. It's—" William paused, unsure how to explain it. "It just felt like the right thing to do. Well, it makes a difference. But I also want you to be aware that situations like this can be complicated," Clara continued, her tone cautious. "If Grace doesn't recover, Lily will need someone to care for her." William's chest tightened. "I understand. Are you prepared for that possibility?" Clara's question was direct but not unkind. "I don't know," William admitted, his voice low, "but I won't leave her." Clara studied his face, then smiled. "That's a good start." They returned to the room where Lily had drifted off to sleep, her small hand still wrapped around her mother's fingers. Grace's breathing remained steady, the room filled with the soft, rhythmic beeping of the monitors. William sat beside them, a quiet resolve settling over him. This was more than a promise. This was a responsibility one he hadn't asked for, but now couldn't walk away from. As the evening settled over the city, William remained by their side. For the first time in years, he found himself watching over someone, not out of obligation, but out of something deeper, something he hadn't felt in a long time. He wasn't just helping Lily and Grace. They were helping him too. The days that followed settled into a quiet rhythm. William became a familiar presence at the hospital. Each morning, he would arrive with a fresh cup of cocoa for Lily and a warm breakfast for the nurses who had begun to recognize him. At first, they were surprised by the sight of a wealthy, well-dressed man spending his time in the quiet, sterile hallways of the patient wing, but soon they grew accustomed to his presence. Lily never left her mother's side. She would sit by the bed, gently brushing Grace's hair, whispering stories, and drawing pictures to tape on the walls around them. Each new picture brought a touch of color to the pale, clinical space. Grace's condition remained stable, though fragile. She was weak, but her breathing grew a little stronger each day. The doctors remained cautiously optimistic, but William refused to leave anything to chance. He met with specialists, reviewed medical reports, and made sure every possible treatment was explored. One afternoon, as William returned from a call with a leading cardiologist, he found Lily sitting in the hospital's small garden. Her hands were busy weaving flowers into a simple crown, her face a mix of concentration and quiet joy. "Hi, Mr. Carter," she greeted him with a shy smile. "Hi, Lily," he replied, sitting beside her. "What are you making?" "A crown for Mom," Lily said, her fingers carefully looping another daisy into the chain. "She always said I was her little princess. So I thought maybe she could be a queen." William's heart tightened. "I'm sure she'll love it." "Do you think she's getting better?" Lily's voice was soft, a hint of worry in her question. William hesitated, then nodded. "She's in the best place now, with the best doctors. We're doing everything we can." Lily seemed to accept this, though her small fingers never stopped moving. After a moment, she looked up at him. "Why are you helping us, Mr. Carter?" The question caught William off guard. He could have said it was the right thing to do, that he had the means to help. But none of those answers felt true. "Because you needed help," he answered simply. "And Maybe I needed to help. Lily's smile was small but warm. You're a good person. I don't know about that, William murmured, his gaze drifting to the sky. But I'm trying. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, the soft rustle of the garden leaves soothing. Then a voice called out from the doorway. Lily? There you are. It was Clara Hayes, the social worker, a warm smile on her face. I was looking for you. Lily jumped up, her crown of flowers still in her hands. I'm here. Clara turned to William. I wanted to update you. Grace's condition has shown slight improvement, but it will be a slow recovery. And I was wondering if we could discuss a few arrangements. William stood, brushing a leaf from his sleeve. Of course. They walked a few steps away, giving Lily some privacy. Clara's tone was calm, but serious. Mr. Carter, I wanted to talk to you about Lily's situation. If Grace's condition doesn't improve enough for her to care for her daughter, we may need to consider alternatives. Alternatives? William's voice sharpened slightly. Temporary guardianship, perhaps, Clara continued gently. Or at least, some form of legal protection to ensure Lily has someone looking out for her. William's chest tightened. The idea of Lily being taken away, of being alone in a world of bureaucracy, was something he couldn't accept. She's not going anywhere, he replied firmly. I'll make sure of that. Clara's smile softened. I thought you might say that. I can help with the paperwork if you're serious. I am, William replied without hesitation. Later that evening, back in Grace's room, Lily carefully placed the flower crown on her mother's head. Grace's eyes fluttered open, her lips curling into a faint smile. Look, Mom, you're a queen now, Lily whispered, her voice full of joy. Grace's weak hand lifted, touching the delicate flowers. Her eyes shifted to William, who stood quietly by the door. Thank you, she whispered, her voice fragile but sincere. For what? William asked, stepping closer. For not leaving, Grace replied, her gaze full of gratitude. William knelt beside her bed, his voice low. I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. As the sun set outside the window, casting a warm golden light across the room, William found himself feeling something he hadn't felt in years, a sense of purpose, a quiet happiness that had nothing to do with success or power. That night, as Lily drifted off to sleep beside her mother, William remained by their side, not because he felt obligated, but because he wanted to be there. For the first time, the man who had once measured his worth by his wealth began to see that true value wasn't counted in dollars, but in moments like these. William's presence in Grace and Lily's life became a constant, a quiet assurance that they were not alone. He learned the nurses' names, brought them coffee during their shifts, and even volunteered to help Lily with her schoolwork when she needed it. Lily, who had once clung to her mother's side in quiet fear, now spent her days drawing, reading, and chatting with William as though they had known each other forever. One rainy afternoon, as the soft patter of rain tapped against the hospital windows, Lily sat cross-legged on the floor of the hospital room, coloring a picture. Grace, though still weak, had become more responsive, her voice a faint whisper but steady. She watched her daughter with a soft smile, her pale fingers brushing against the flower crown Lily had made. You spoil her, you know, Grace whispered, her eyes drifting to William, who was reading a newspaper in the corner. William looked up, folding the paper. I wouldn't call it spoiling. I think she deserves a little joy. Grace smiled, her expression warm. You've done so much for us. I still don't understand why. Maybe I needed to remember that I could, William replied, his voice thoughtful. Maybe I forgot what it felt like to actually make a difference. Grace's smile softened. Well, you've done more than that. You've given us hope. Lily's head popped up. Mr. Carter is my hero. He can fix anything. William chuckled, but there was a hint of emotion in his voice. I don't know about that, but I'm trying. The door opened, and Clara Hayes stepped in, her warm smile lighting up the room. Good afternoon. How's everyone feeling today? Better, Grace whispered. Thanks to this one. She nodded toward William. Clara's gaze softened. I believe it. Mr. Carter has a way of making things happen. William stood, joining Clara by the door. How are things progressing? Grace's condition is stable, but recovery will take time, Clara explained. We've been exploring options for long-term care, and I wanted to discuss something with you. William's expression turned serious. Go on. If Grace's recovery is slower than expected, Lily will need someone to ensure her well-being. Given how close you've become, I wanted to ask, have you considered becoming her guardian, even temporarily? The question hung in the air like a whispered promise and a heavy responsibility all at once. Guardian? William repeated, a hint of surprise in his voice. Legally, Lily would need someone to make decisions for her, especially if Grace is unable, Clara continued. It's just a precaution, but it's important. William's gaze shifted to Lily, who was now holding up her drawing for Grace, her laughter filling the room. Yes, he whispered. Yes, I would. Clara's smile widened. Then we can begin the paperwork, just in case. Later that evening, as the rain continued to fall outside, William sat by the window, his thoughts a quiet storm of their own. Becoming a guardian, making a promise not just for today, but for the future. Grace's voice drew him back. William, I want you to know something. He turned to see her watching him, her expression serious but warm. If something happens to me, I need to know that Lily will be loved. Not just cared for, loved. William's chest tightened. I promise you, Grace, I will always be here for her. Grace's eyes shimmered with emotion. Thank you. As the night settled in, Lily curled up on the small couch, her sketchbook resting on her lap, her breathing steady and calm. William sat beside her, his hand gently resting on her shoulder. For the first time in years, his world wasn't defined by numbers or decisions, but by quiet moments like these. And somewhere in the stillness, William began to feel something he hadn't in a long time, a sense of belonging. The first days of spring brought a sense of hope, as sunlight spilled through the hospital windows and warm breezes replaced the chill of winter. Grace's condition showed slow but steady improvement. Her color returned, her voice grew stronger, and she began sitting up in bed, chatting quietly with Lily, who never left her side. William's visits became a routine, not an obligation, but something he looked forward to. He brought fresh flowers for Grace's room, new sketchbooks for Lily, and sometimes even a board game they would play together. It was in these small moments that he found a kind of peace he hadn't known in years. One afternoon, as he helped Lily with her math homework, Grace watched them, her smile soft. "You're so patient with her," she whispered, her voice warm. "She's a bright kid," William replied, his tone light. "And she makes it easy." Grace's gaze lingered on him. "You don't have to do all of this, you know." William set down the pencil, meeting her eyes. "I want to." "But why?" Grace's voice was gentle, but curious. "A man like you, with your life, your responsibilities, why spend your time here?" William hesitated, then leaned back in his chair. "Because for a long time, I thought success was about control, power, and wealth. But now I'm starting to realize it's about being there. For someone, for something that actually matters." Grace's eyes shimmered with emotion. "You've become a part of our lives. And I don't know how to thank you." "You don't need to," William whispered, his voice thick with feeling. "You and Lily, you've given me more than I ever expected. Their quiet moment was interrupted by the soft knock of Clara Hayes, the social worker. "Hi, Grace." "Hi, Mr. Carter," she greeted with her usual warm smile. "I have good news." Grace and Lily both looked up, hope flickering in their eyes. "Grace, your latest test results show significant improvement. The doctors believe that with continued care and rehabilitation, you'll be able to regain your strength." Lily's face lit up. "Mom, did you hear that? You're getting better." Tears filled Grace's eyes. I can't believe it." William smiled, his chest swelling with quiet joy. "That's the best news I've heard in a long time." Clara stepped forward. "There's also another matter we should discuss. Given Grace's improving condition, we can start preparing for her transition back home." Grace's smile faltered. "Home? But we don't have a home anymore." William's expression softened. "We'll take care of that." "Mr. Carter," Grace began, but William interrupted gently. "No arguments. I'll make sure you and Lily have a place to call home, a place where you can heal." Lily jumped up, rushing to hug William. "Thank you." "Thank you, Mr. Carter." He wrapped his arms around her, his heart full. It's what families do, right? Grace's eyes shimmered. "Family." Clara's smile grew. "I'll begin arranging the necessary paperwork, and we can discuss options for a new place." That evening, as William walked through the hospital garden with Lily, she looked up at him. "Are you really going to help us find a home?" "Of course," William replied, gently squeezing her hand. "You and your mom deserve a fresh start. Will you be there too?" Lily's voice was quiet, almost hesitant. William knelt down, meeting her gaze. "If you want me to be." Lily's smile was small, but certain. "I do." As they returned to the hospital, William realized that his life, once defined by wealth and power, was now filled with something far more precious. Laughter, quiet conversations, shared hopes, and the joy of simply being there. That night, as he sat by Grace's bedside, watching Lily sleep, he whispered, "I won't leave. Not now. Not ever." The transition from hospital to home happened faster than Grace could have imagined. With William's support, a cozy, sunlit apartment awaited them in a quiet neighborhood, surrounded by lush greenery and a small park nearby. It was a place filled with warmth and light, a stark contrast to the sterile walls of the hospital. Lily ran from room to room, her laughter echoing through the hall. She claimed the smallest room as her own, already imagining the walls filled with her drawings. Grace, still weak but smiling, settled into the soft, comfortable bed William had arranged for her, the gentle breeze from the open window bringing the scent of fresh flowers. "It's perfect," Grace whispered, her eyes misting with gratitude. "Thank you, William." William stood in the doorway, a quiet smile on his face. "You both deserve this." Life settled into a peaceful routine. William visited often, bringing groceries, helping Lily with her schoolwork, and spending evenings sharing stories. Grace's strength continued to grow, her laughter returning, and her cheeks gaining a healthy color. One Saturday afternoon, as they sat together in the cozy living room, Lily suddenly looked up. "Mr. Carter, can we go to the park?" William smiled. "Of course." They spent the afternoon beneath the swaying trees. Lily raced around, her hair flying behind her as she chased butterflies, while Grace and William sat on a bench, watching her with quiet joy. "I never thought we'd have this again," Grace murmured, her gaze never leaving her daughter. "You've come so far," William replied. "And you're only getting stronger." Grace turned to him, a soft smile on her lips. "Not without you." William's chest tightened. "You would have made it. You're stronger than you think." Grace shook her head. "No, not without you. You gave us hope when we had nothing." Their quiet moment was interrupted by Lily's laughter as she returned, a daisy crown in her hands. "Mom, look, you're a queen again." Grace chuckled, leaning forward to let Lily place the crown on her head. "A queen needs her kingdom," she teased. "Well, you've got one," William smiled. "Right here." The weeks passed, and the bond between them only deepened. Grace continued to heal, gaining confidence in her steps. Lily thrived in school, her artwork growing more colourful and vibrant. One evening, as William helped Lily with her reading, she suddenly looked up. "Mr. Carter, are you my dad now?" The question caught William off guard. His throat tightened, and he struggled for words. "Lily, Grace, who had been listening quietly, spoke softly. "Lily, sweetheart, Mr. Carter has done so much for us. He's our family." Lily smiled, satisfied. "Then you're my family too." William's heart swelled with emotion. "Yes, Lily, I'm your family." After Lily went to bed, William remained on the couch, his thoughts a quiet storm. Grace joined him, her expression warm but curious. "You didn't expect that question, did you?" William chuckled, rubbing his face. "Not quite." "But it's true," Grace whispered. "You've become a father to her." "I never imagined." William's voice trailed off. "But I wouldn't trade this for anything." Grace leaned closer, her voice gentle. "And she wouldn't either." Their gazes met, a quiet warmth lingering between them. William reached for her hand, his fingers wrapping around hers. "I won't ever leave you." Grace's smile was soft but steady. "I know." From that day forward, William's presence wasn't just a comfort, it was a promise. A promise of love, of family, of a future they were building together. Life in the new apartment settled into a warm, familiar routine. William continued to visit nearly every day, bringing groceries, helping Lily with her homework, and sharing quiet evenings with Grace. The small apartment, once a refuge, had become a home filled with laughter, stories, and quiet moments that felt like treasures. One crisp autumn afternoon, as orange and gold leaves danced outside the window, William arrived with a surprise. "Lily," he called, his voice cheerful. "I have something for you." Lily raced from her room, her face lighting up. "What is it?" William revealed a large canvas, blank and ready. "I thought you might like to paint something for your mom." Lily's eyes sparkled. "Really? Can I?" "Of course," William smiled. "Anything you want." Lily set to work immediately, her tiny hands carefully mixing colors, her brush dancing across the canvas. Grace watched from her seat, her smile warm. "You spoil her, you know." "She deserves it," William replied, his voice soft. "So do you." Grace's gaze lingered on him. "You give so much of yourself, William. But do you ever take anything for yourself?" William hesitated, then chuckled. I think this is what I take for myself. These moments, being here." Grace's expression softened. "We're lucky to have you." That evening, as the sun set, casting a warm, golden glow across the room, Lily finished her painting, a bright, colourful scene of a garden filled with flowers, with 3 figures standing beneath a wide, blooming tree. A woman, a child, and a man with a warm, kind smile. "That's us," Lily explained, showing it proudly. "Me, Mom, and Mr. Carter." William's chest tightened. "It's beautiful, Lily." Grace's fingers gently touched the edge of the canvas. "It's perfect." In the days that followed, the painting hung proudly in the living room, a constant reminder of the love and joy that now filled their lives. But beneath the warmth, William felt a quiet, growing fear. A voice that whispered in the back of his mind, what if this wasn't forever? What if something happened? What if he wasn't enough? One evening, as he helped Lily with her reading, she looked up suddenly. "Mr. Carter, will you always stay with us? William's breath caught. I'll always be here for you. Promise? Lily's voice was soft but firm. I promise, William whispered, his voice thick with emotion. After Lily went to bed, William sat with Grace in the quiet of the living room, the soft hum of the city outside their window. Do you ever think about the future? Grace asked quietly. William leaned back, his gaze on the painting. Every day. And what do you see? Grace's voice was calm but curious. I see this, William replied. I see us, together. Grace's smile was soft. I'd like that. As autumn turned to winter and snowflakes danced outside their window, William became more than just a visitor. He was a constant, a comfort, and a promise that they were not alone. And in those quiet moments, as he watched Lily's laughter, saw Grace's smile grow brighter, and felt the warmth of their little home, he knew one thing for certain: he had never felt more at home in his entire life. The first snow of winter blanketed the city in a soft white glow. Lily's laughter filled the apartment as she pressed her hands against the frosty window, watching the delicate snowflakes dance through the air. Can we make a snowman, Mr. Carter? She asked, her eyes wide with excitement. William chuckled. Of course. Bundled in thick coats and scarves, the three of them stepped into the snow-covered park. Lily's laughter was a melody against the crisp air as she rolled snowballs, her small hands crafting the base of their snowman. Grace, her cheeks flushed with a healthy color, helped shape the snow, while William searched for twigs and pebbles for the snowman's face. Look. He has a big smile, Lily giggled, placing a crooked twig for the snowman's mouth. William smiled, his gaze drifting to Grace. I think he's happy because he has a family. Grace's eyes met his, warmth in her smile. Just like us. As the afternoon faded, they returned to the cozy apartment, the warmth of the heater and the scent of hot cocoa welcoming them. Lily curled up on the couch, her tiny hands wrapped around a steaming mug, her cheeks rosy from the cold. Grace settled beside her, her gaze soft. Thank you, William. For everything. William sat across from them, his heart full. You two have given me more than I could ever give you. That evening, as snow continued to fall outside, Lily's eyes grew heavy, and she soon drifted off to sleep, her head resting on Grace's shoulder. William helped Grace tuck her in, pulling the blankets gently around the sleeping girl. She's so happy, he whispered. Because she feels safe. Loved, Grace replied, her voice a soft whisper. They moved to the kitchen, the gentle hum of the heater a comforting backdrop. Grace poured 2 cups of tea, and they sat at the small dining table, the soft glow of the kitchen light creating a cozy haven. You've become a part of us, Grace murmured, her gaze meeting his. More than just a friend. More than I ever imagined. William's chest tightened. Grace, I never thought I'd find this. A home, a family. But with you and Lily, it feels real. Grace's smile was gentle. It is real. Silence settled between them, but it was warm, not awkward. William reached across the table, his fingers brushing against hers. Grace's hand turned, her fingers curling around his. I never thought I could love again, she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. But you've shown me that there's always hope. William's thumb gently traced the back of her hand. And you've shown me that life is more than just wealth and success. It's laughter, quiet moments, and the people we love. Their gazes held, a quiet, unspoken promise passing between them. Will you stay for dinner? Grace asked softly. William smiled. I'd love to. They shared a simple meal, laughter and stories filling the small kitchen. It wasn't grand, but it was perfect. As the night deepened, William helped Grace clean up, their movements natural, like a well-rehearsed dance. When it was time for him to leave, he stood by the door, his coat in hand. "Thank you for today," Grace whispered. "And for every day." "Thank you for letting me be a part of this," William replied, his voice thick with emotion. Grace stepped closer, her arms wrapping around him in a warm embrace. "Stay safe." William hugged her tightly, his heart pounding. "You too." And as he walked through the snow-covered streets, his breath forming soft clouds in the cold air, William felt a warmth in his chest he hadn't known in years. This was more than just a chapter in his life. It was his home. The gentle warmth of spring returned, bringing new life to the city, and with it, a new chapter for William, Grace, and Lily. The small apartment was filled with light, the windows open to let in the fresh breeze, and the sound of birdsong drifted in. Lily, now a little taller and even more vibrant, was busy at the kitchen table, coloring a new picture. Grace stood by the stove, stirring a pot of soup, her cheeks rosy with health. And William, as always, sat nearby, a warm smile on his face. "Do you think the flowers will bloom soon?" Lily asked, her eyes flicking to the small balcony where a few pots of flowers sat, their buds just beginning to open. "I think so," William replied. "Just like you and your mom, you're both blooming." Grace chuckled. "You always know what to say." William's smile softened. "It's easy when I'm with you." The doorbell rang, and Lily jumped up. "I'll get it," she called, racing to the door. William exchanged a glance with Grace, a quiet warmth passing between them. It was a look they had come to know well, a look of love, of quiet gratitude, of a life they never expected but had found together. Lily opened the door to reveal Clara Hayes, the social worker who had become a dear friend. "Good morning," Clara greeted, stepping inside with a bright smile. "I hope I'm not interrupting." "Never," William replied, standing to greet her. "Come in." Clara set a small envelope on the table. "I just came to drop this off. It's the final paperwork for Lily's adoption. It's official now." Lily's eyes widened. "Really?" "Really," Clara confirmed. "William is now your legal father." Lily's face lit up, and she rushed to William, wrapping her arms around his waist. "Daddy!" William knelt, his eyes misting with emotion. "Yes, sweetheart, I'm your dad, always." Grace wiped a tear from her cheek, her smile radiant. "It's perfect." Clara stayed for a cup of tea, sharing laughter and stories. But soon, she excused herself, leaving the small family to their quiet joy. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with hues of pink and gold, William stood by the balcony, his arm wrapped around Grace. Lily played with her sketchbook, humming softly. "We did it," Grace whispered, leaning against him. "We really did it." "No," William whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "You did it. You gave me a family." Grace's hand found his, their fingers intertwining. "We all found each other." William looked down at her, his heart full. "Grace, I want to ask you something." Grace's smile widened. "Yes?" He pulled a small velvet box from his pocket, opening it to reveal a simple, elegant ring. "Will you marry me?" Grace's breath caught. Tears filled her eyes, and she laughed through them. "Yes." "Yes, I will." Lily looked up, her eyes wide. "Are we getting married?" William laughed, scooping her into his arms. "Yes, sweetheart." "We're all becoming a family." As the three of them stood on the balcony, the sunset casting a warm glow around them, William knew that this was the greatest success he had ever achieved, a family built on love, trust, and a promise to always be there for one another. William Carter's story is a powerful reminder that true wealth is not measured in dollars or possessions, but in the love and connections we build with those around us. As a successful businessman, William thought he had everything he needed: power, luxury, and influence. But it wasn't until a little girl named Lily and her ailing mother Grace entered his life that he discovered what he was truly missing. This story teaches us that no matter how successful we become, life's greatest fulfillment comes from the simple moments: a shared laugh, a comforting touch, the joy of being there for someone who needs you. It shows that love is not just a feeling, but an action choosing to stay, to care, to protect, and to be present even when it's inconvenient. For older adults, this story is a reminder that it's never too late to open your heart, to give without expecting in return, and to build a family, whether by blood or by choice. William's transformation is a testament to the fact that true happiness is found in love, compassion, and the quiet moments of everyday life.